Ahanu woke early with a troubled heart. He had hardly slept the night before, the coming birth of great significance to him and his people. Getting out of bed, he left his wife sleeping, not wanting to trouble her with the dangers that lay ahead. The elders were clear. The signs were there for those with the eyes to see. Stepping out onto the porch, he heard the sound and rushed out of his house and ran towards the barn. It should have been deserted except for his livestock, but the 7 elders were already there. How did they know? The birth was supposed to be days away. Were they warned by the shaman who had seen the birth in his visions? Ahanu did not see what all the fuss was about, and he wished the elders would realize the old ways no longer applied. But how could he deny them their superstitions when so often they were shown to be right? Even in an age of TVs, smartphones, and game shows, one did not ignore the power of the elders. He told himself it was all superstitious nonsense, but deep down inside, he still knew the truth of what was being said. That was why he did not object when he saw them gathered here. They noticed his entry into the barn, but nobody spoke to him. He walked further into the barn and saw that the buffalo was giving birth. The whole village had been talking about it, about how the birth had been prophesied to usher in the new age. Last night the moon had blazed bright in the sky, only for its image to fade into the morning light. Ahanu insisted to himself that this would be a normal birth, that it would just be another mouth to add to his buffalo stock. He hoped that the elders would watch and see that they had been mistaken, and that they would leave and from then on leave him alone. He was a businessman. He wanted to leave the old ways behind because they no longer served him or his sons. But as the first calf began to appear, his hopes died in his throat. He saw the truth of it and knew the elders were right, just as they always were. Why hadn't he listened? The first calf dropped to the ground, its white skin a testament to the coming chaos. Worse still were the 2 heads, evidence of the evil that was entering into the world. He stood alongside the elders, their muffled prayers infectious in his confused mind. How could this be? Could science explain this? The buffalo exclaimed her pain again as another calf began to pass. Ahanu knew what to expect, as it had been foretold. The second calf came out, again with 2 heads, but this time black as tar. Then came the third calf, perfectly red but similarly deformed. The buffalo mother gave a shudder, a long breath expelling from her lungs, and then she was still, life leaving her as she died. The 2 calves struggled to stand, and the humans present stepped back, dreading what was coming next, but certain that they had to be there to document and witness what was about to occur. All 3 calves turned on the carcass of their mother and began ripping the flesh from her flanks with teeth that should have only been used for grass. One of the elders turned to him. "The signs are true. The blight will be upon us soon enough." The elders looked thoroughly miserable, even more so than they usually did. Humanity didn't realize it, but a seal to the gates of hell had cracked. It was not the first, and it was not the last, but the heavens shuddered with the devastation that was to come.